Hello, Stephanie. I am the person that was told not to bite you. My name is Anele, and I'm one of the broadcasters in South Africa. And I would say top 10 Petronas fans in the world. And I can, you can quiz me whenever this is done, but really love the work that you guys do. And this is such a great opportunity. And I mean, coming up to Monza, and I know how you guys are, when you're about to tackle somebody on their ground, you know,
Yeah.
it's all hands on deck. So it really means a lot that you're doing this for us. And when I was looking at your story, I thought to myself, you are like the ultimate pop idol winner, right? 7,000 people enter, then it goes to 100, then it goes to 50, then it goes to 10, and then there's 3, and then finally after 3, you hear Stephanie Travers is the ultimate winner. Take me to that moment. What did it feel like?
It was so hard for me to put it into words. It's so hard for me to put it into words. That moment was, it was so surreal. It's something that I always dreamt of, to work in Formula One day. And initially, all I could do was contact my parents and inform them. And then it was a case of just waiting until the announcement, when I was announced in February in Barcelona testing. So it was a surreal moment, and I still can't put it into words. I feel like I'm living in a dream. Every day is a dream to me. It's going to the track and doing something that I absolutely love. So I'm really enjoying it and living in the moment.
Now, I've been told that, dreams are actually huge responsibilities. And when I found out the things that you had to go through to win this, I mean, a psychometric test, verbal reasoning, creativity test, logic test, out of these, can you just walk us through, like, psychometric test? What does that mean, that you're not going to flip out on the team like during testing?
I think it was just a case of just testing my ability and whether the degree that I had done matched what they were looking for. So numerical reasoning is all to know that you can do the number crunching that you need trackside, and just to know that I had the necessary skills on top of my degree. So the degree came with the laboratory skills that were required and the necessary knowledge, and we were just testing that essentially in those psychometric tests. And it's also a way of filtering in the initial stages of the application process.
Yeah. And what I love that you said in one of the interviews that I watched with you, you said you always knew it was going to happen, that you were going to work in F1. You just didn't know how. And I think when people look at people like you, it's a case of, I have this dream and I want it to happen, but I have to teach myself to be patient whilst I'm waiting for the dream to happen. How did you, go through that, like that waiting period? What was it like for you? Did you ever lose faith, or did you just always know it will come, it will come?
So for me, it really started from a young age, watching Formula One with parents, and I just always loved maths and science at school. So I knew that I wanted to be an engineer. And when I was trying to decide what degree path I wanted to do, I looked at degree paths in engineering, which sector of engineering, for example, chemical, mechanical, would get me into Formula One. But most importantly, it was about the one that would interest me the most, and the career prospects that interested me. So when I was following my dream, I was also ensuring that I was passionate about what I was doing. It was always in my mind that I want to get into Formula One, and I didn't focus on that. I focused on the wider picture, just in case there was not a chance for me to get into Formula One. I wanted to ensure that I was doing something that I loved. So when Petronas launched the Global Talent Search in 2018, it was just a great moment for myself, and it was something that I had dreamt about. And I just seized the opportunity and went through all the various stages. It's what I would say to other people is to not give up on your dreams and just work hard and persevere, and you never know when that moment may come to you.
I love the relationship with you and your parents, because I know people always try corner you into a situation where you're saying, oh, my role model is Maya Angelou or Oprah, and you just like, actually, my role model is my parents. And I love that, and I like that you stick to it. What did your parents teach you about failure?
Oh, my parents have always been there to support us from a very young age. And I think from very young, when you're in school and you're competing, for instance, at your first sports day and you don't win, that's when they start teaching you about failure. And it's not the end of the world if you're not first. So I've always had that from a young age. I used to compete in sports, so I was quite a competitive child. So they always had to instill in me that it's okay when you don't win, you just work harder for the next time. And it's all about just focusing on yourself and your own journey. And that's something that they instilled in me from a young age. And just to focus on myself, work as hard as I can, and focus on my education or whatever it is that I'm doing in that current moment. And then think about playing with friends after you completed all the important things in those young years, and do those first before you go out with your friends. Do your homework first. Those sorts of things were the things that they instilled in me. And not only that, when I went on into older years in school and even in university, my dad studied alongside me for my degree. So he would conversations with me and try and engage us into our degree subjects. And he took a real interest in mine and all my siblings. So he studied alongside all of us and just helped us through. And it's just amazing to have parents like them that sacrifice so much for us to give us a chance in life. And I really am truly grateful to them.
I'm glad you brought in your siblings, because I understand that your cousin was a go-karter and you used to go with your cousin, to watch him as he was go-karting. Would you say that's when the bug bit you, when you realized that, one day I want to do this on a grander scale?
So two of my cousins were in go-karting competitions. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to actually go and watch them compete because they're quite a bit older than me. But what I did get to do is one of them went into working in the DTM environment, so another motorsport. And I traveled to some DTM races and seen him and seen the paddock and just had that experience, and that thrill was just there from watching on the TV, then being able to go into a DTM paddock. And that was actually the first time that I met Lewis Hamilton, one of the times in the DTM paddock, and some of the others, Lewis Jensen Button, a few others. And it just really pushed me, and it just gave me that extra push that I needed to say, that's really what I want to do. Just seeing it, even though it wasn't Formula One, just that motorsport environment. So as I got older, I started traveling to some places with friends. Barcelona Grand Prix was the first Grand Prix that I went to with friends, and it just kept growing from there. And I'd never lost the passion for the sport. So to be here every day with these high-speed machines, it's just it's mind-blowing. It's just amazing.
That's such a full circle, that the first Grand Prix you went to was Barcelona, and then the first time you went was when we were testing in Barcelona. So it's quite surreal, like full circle your entire life, right?
Yes. It was such a special moment for myself. I even saw where I sat with my friends and just being there. It was, I can't even put it to words. I still feel like I'm living a dream.
Well, you are. So I was watching this movie, I think it's Armageddon, and there's some sort of debate happening, and the one guy says to the other one, "What are you, a rocket scientist?" And he actually happens to be a rocket scientist. So then it got awkward. Then I kind of thought of you, when there's debating and people are like, "Oh, I'm a petrol head. Oh, I'm a petrol head." You are actually a petrol head. Like, like that's what you are. Run me through it, because you said, part of your job is, you check the gearbox oil, you monitor the engine wear, you take the fuel samples. Break it down for somebody whose maths mark wasn't as great, but her passion is there, so like, what is it that you do? What does your job entail?
So Petronas is the title sponsor and also the technical partner to the Mercedes team. So that means that we provide the fluids that go into the car. So we've got the Petronas Syntium engine oil, the Tutela gearbox and functional fluids, and the Premax fuel. So on race weekend, as a trackside fluid engineer, I am checking to ensure that we are compliant with the FIA regulations, and also monitoring the reliability of the car as a whole. It's quite an important job, and especially in terms of the fuel at the beginning of a race week. If we're not compliant and we do not detect it early on, we could face disqualification if they come and do a sample. So it's something that is done throughout an entire race week. I'm checking for compliance and also the reliability of the car.
All right, so I'm going to bring it back home to Johannesburg, to South Africa actually as a whole. Engine is basically part of Petronas, and engine is, the preferred fuel supply here in South Africa. So what is the difference between the petrol that I put in my car and the petrol that Valtteri and Lewis put in their cars? Because yes, I think I'm a bit of a racer, but when it comes down to the fuel, what's the difference between the F1 fuel and the normal man's fuel?
So there's slight differences. The fuel, Petronas Premix fuel that we use race side, track side, is the race fuel, and that is formulated specifically for the Mercedes Formula One car. However, track brings you the harshest testing conditions. So all the data that we get trackside is used in the formulation for the road car fuels. So you have got your Petronas Premix road car fuel that's available for purchase at engine forecourts, as well as your Cintium, taking all the learnings from the track, and we put that into our road car formulations ready for people to purchase.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so then on race day, where are you? So Valtteri and Lewis, they're on the grid and they're racing. The pit stop guys are waiting to help them out. Where are you stationed as they are racing?
So sometimes I'm in the garage, sometimes I'm in the lab. The work that I do is important to be done before we go into the race. We want to know that we're able to finish that race. So before the night before and even the morning before, we're doing all the checks to ensure that we know where we are in terms of wear. So we're monitoring the wear of the engine and gearbox throughout a race weekend, and we're trying to detect any potential problems that we may have so we can act upon them quickly. So when we go to the race, my work is done in terms of preparation for the race, and then I'm waiting until the cars come back post-race to do the post-race analysis and check how much wear we had in the race before we use that power unit in the next event.
So on the day you went to accept the Constructors' Cup, right? Where were you when you were told, hey, girl, it's your goal, you're up?
So that moment, it's such a surreal moment for me. I was on the pit wall, hanging off the pit wall, as you see us at the end of a race when we're celebrating. And I came down and I got approached by Toto Wolff's PA, and he said, Stephanie, you're going on the podium. So I looked at him and I said, me? I think you've got the wrong person. I don't think I'm going on the podium. And he said, no, it's you. Toto's requested for you to go on the podium. And I was speechless. I just turned around and I said, me? I didn't know what to say. So they just started preparing me to go up, and within a matter of seconds I was getting ready to go up. So I had no time to inform friends and family. I literally just went up, and I was honored to be chosen by the team and to represent the team and Petronas on the podium. It was a surreal moment, a great moment for myself, a momentous occasion for myself and my family, and just the reception from all over the world. It's been fantastic, and it's something that I would treasure for a lifetime.
Look, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that, because I remember I took out my phone and I started Instagram storying it. I was like, she doesn't know me, but she's my girl. Like, you know, I'm like, and I'm going to interview her, and I'm going to bring all the stories. And it was just like, it was a big moment for you, but for the rest of us, you know, watching and supporting, it's just something we're never going to forget. And I'm so glad. I really believe you're going to be there for a few lifetimes. So don't worry. I think there'll be more of those moments. But so now that moment happens, you spraying the champagne, and you're that girl. When you get to your phone, like, what are the messages saying? Who are they from, and what are they saying?
My parents, first of all, they were the first. They were watching the race and they saw me on the podium. As I said, I didn't have a chance to message them. So they had sent me voice notes screaming, and my dad, both of them were in tears, really. And my grandparents as well, or my grandma, both my grandmas, they cried. They were FaceTiming me, and I was receiving a lot of messages from family. They were the first to contact me, but not only that, my social media went out of control as well. So I just took a moment to just reflect and really enjoy the moment for what it was, and just to celebrate with my family. That was the most important thing to me, just to celebrate with the team and my family. So whilst I was trackside, I enjoyed that moment, celebrated with the team, and then continued to do our pack down. And I couldn't wait to get home 2 weeks later to see my family and to really celebrate.
So, I mean, Petronas and Mercedes-Benz, they boast the fact that they are, six-time world champs, Constructors' Cup all the time. I can one-up you on that. Our petrol station here that is under the Petronas brand engine has been voted coolest petrol station 11 years in a row. So I'm sorry, we're a little bit better than you guys. Like, you're gonna have to keep up. You're gonna have to keep up. Now, what I want to say is obviously there's this pressure that you guys are going for the seventh one. You're going for the seventh one, and you work closely with the drivers, Valtteri as well as Lewis. Do you see their game face change, or is that who they are all the time from when they're dealing with you guys and they're going over the fuel and they speaking to all the engineers, and then as you watch them get into the cars and they leave? Like, do you see a certain like a flick, like a crazy switch, like it's time to go?
I think before they go into a session, they're really focused on themselves and just getting prepared. So they get to the zone and we don't really interfere with them in the hour or so before the race. But other than that, when it's not race sessions, or they come up to us, they do have conversations with us, and it's great to have conversations with them and Toto, and they're very open to be approached. And both the drivers and Toto come into the lab every year. Lewis and Valtteri come in at the beginning of the year, have a look at the new equipment we have in the lab and discuss the fluids with them. And it's just great to have that conversation with them and to have a relationship with everyone on the team. We're a great team, and it's all about the teamwork. We're all working together to achieve the same goal. So it's one big happy family, and honestly, it's just been an amazing experience. And they embraced me with open arms and provided me an environment where I feel like I can thrive. So I'm really, really enjoying it so far.
Yeah. I must say I do enjoy it when either one of them wins, and on the radio they never say I did it. It's always we did it, guys, we did it. And I honestly, in my mind, I feel like you guys all live in one commune, and you guys are just this one big happy family, and that's why there's such a cohesive effort in chasing all those championships. Now, Stephanie, I'll tell you, COVID has really messed everyone up, right? But I think it did one good thing, is that it allowed you to be locked down in Johannesburg, South Africa. Tell me about that. Why were you here? Apparently you've got family here that we should be, aware of.
So I came to my brother and my sister-in-law in South Africa. They had a 2-year-old nephew, as my 2-year-old nephew was there with them. So it was a great time for me to have some bonding moments with my little Alex. And whilst I was there, they had their second baby. So I was so excited, and all my family was super jealous because they were all in the UK and stuff and couldn't get there. So it was a great moment for myself to be there and be alongside and see how the two little boys interacted with each other. So that was part of it. And then I also did a little bit of work with the engine team and did the webinar on the lubricants. So it was great to get to know everyone virtually and find out more about engine as a whole and the lubricants that they have in South Africa. So it was a really good time for me.
And when you look at the sports in general, outside of the fact that we can't, attend the races anymore, what would you say has been a really big shift in terms of how it's executed because of COVID-19?
So a lot has remained the same. We're still providing the same service that we did to Mercedes and the customer teams. We've made small changes. For instance, in the lab, we had to change the orientation of the equipment to allow for two of us to be in there and have that 2-meter distance between us. As well as that, we all have to wear masks within the paddock at all times. And we have to go for the dreaded COVID testing every few days. So that's a bit horrible, but it's keeping us safe. And we know everybody within our bubble, we're contained within the Mercedes bubble. So in terms of the customer teams, how we interact with them has also changed. For instance, when they bring samples to us, we now have a sample drop-off point, and we put a doorbell in there, which we sanitize frequently, that they can ring, and we will then approach to take the samples. When they see us approaching, they'll walk away, so they know that we've got the samples in and no one can intercept them. Another major change that we've had is the FIA sampling. So the FIA can come in at any point in the race weekend and demand an engine oil sample or a fuel sample. So what we do now is we set up the fuel pump, for example, if they're taking a fuel sample, and we walk away and allow for a 2-meter distance whilst they take the sample. With engine oil, they'll come, they'll give us the bottles to take the samples, walk away, and then we'll proceed and give them the engine oil samples that they need. And that's how we're operating at the moment, trying to ensure that we have that 2 meter distance and staying within our bubbles.
And obviously, when you guys celebrate, which you guys do a lot, it's elbows now. It's no longer the hugs and the lifting. It's like you need to make sure your elbows aren't ashy. It's like they're all over the TV.
Yes.
All right, so one of South Africa's greatest race drivers, Chop Sipoka, he's just joined the call. Welcome to him. I'm going to bring him into an interview when I've wrapped with you. I'm almost done. Towards the end, let me drive it towards the, and I know it's still early to think about this, but it's something I think about when I know that I support someone the way I support you. Your legacy, where is this going? Are you going to be the Total Wolf one day? You know, are you going to be the head of the F1, the FIA? Like, where is this going? How far does your dream expand?
Wow, that's a pretty good question. Well, if this year has taught us anything, it's just to live in the moment. And I'm putting all my passion and effort into my current role. I feel like I've got so much more to learn, and I'm doing at the moment. But if I was to pinpoint onto one thing, I do aspire to do a full MBA. One day, with the hopes to doing something in management, but I do want to still keep that engineering background. And I have self-funded an MBA essential certificate myself, just to ensure that it's really what I want to do, because they're not exactly cheap, the MBA. So I did that really well in it, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that's a long-term goal. Right now, I just want to stay in Formula One, enjoy the moment, and see where it takes me.
Dude, I was actually looking at the numbers. I mean, there are more driver spots in the F1 than there is spots of fuel, because only 10 of you can do this job in the F1, whereas with the drivers, 20 of them are there. So you are quite special. You do realize that you are really special.
Thank you.
So here we go, from Harare to Monza to Spa, you know, to Barcelona to Bahrain, you know, to all these racetracks. Do you ever get to see any of the cities and, you know, be a tourist and not be Stephanie, you know, at work clocking in?
So this season's been quite intense, and it's not the same as a normal season. We have a lot of triple headers. So we're quite busy traveling from track to track, and I haven't really had a chance this year to experience some places. But last year I did have a bit more time to have a little bit of an explore and stay out in some places. So you do get that chance on a normal Formula One year without COVID. But to be honest, the main goal when we're going is to focus on our jobs. It's just a bonus to be able to experience the different cultures and the food. I'm a big foodie, so I do love experiencing the food in all the different places. And like Italy is one of the worst for me because all the desserts and pastries, it's not good for me, but we just live life and enjoy.
When they said you're currently in Italy for months, I just thought pasta. I thought, okay, I just thought that's it. It's pasta, and it's the best coffee, and it's crisp white shirt, and it's charming people. Like, you know, it's the entire package it's just too much even for me. So as you travel from one place to one place, the one thing I always pick up about the entire team is your guys' shirts are always new and crisp. Like, I have to wear this one. Like, this one gets washed, and then I put it back on for the next race. Then it's washed. Do you guys get new clothes every week?
No, so we get an allocation at the beginning of the year. But obviously, if I was to spill some oil on it, they're easily accessible in the uniform department. But it's not to abuse your allocation. It's just to treat your team kit well and ensure that it lasts you.
All right. And your family, what questions do they ask you about, you know, the teams? Because I know, like, you know, like I'm on radio and TV here, so I'm constantly getting questions about other people on radio and TV, and like, can I get a ticket here and a ticket there? Has your life reached there yet, where people are like, yeah, yo, can you just ask Valtteri to, like, you know, say what's up to my kid? You know, are you getting those requests from your family and friends?
I haven't yet, surprisingly enough. I've had family that have just funded themselves and come to races, so that's been great. And my parents had the experience last year in Silverstone before the race weekend started to have a tour of the garage, which they really enjoyed, and they got to see where I worked. So that was a really special moment for me, for them to see me living my dream and see me working within the lab. So that was great.
Oh, okay. And then in closing, 7,000 applied, only one got it. Do you speak to any of the 6,999?
I have spoken to some of them. Yes, I have. The final five, we were all pretty close. We were in Kuala Lumpur for nearly a week together. So we did build some friendships, and it didn't end at the end of the interview process. There were no hard feelings, and we're still in contact now. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I don't know. Have you picked a favorite grid? Is it, which one is it? Is it Kuala Lumpur because that's close to your heart? Is it, is it Bahrain? Is it Spa? Which one do you have in your mind, like your favorite grid, even from being a Formula One watcher, even before getting to Petronas? Do you have like your favorite one?
Oh, I don't really, but I do like Baku for the sights that you can see from the track, and just it being a street circuit. There's always a lot of interesting action there, so that's one of my favorites. But honestly, it's just every race is it's great.
Every race is amazing. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time. Like, I thought I knew you because I stalked you long enough for this interview, but now you've just opened another door, and everybody that watches us, I hope for them as well, the same thing's going to happen. And you just continue to rise, and you have all our support really for the rest of your life.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.